duties.
No worries. No worries. We're just trying to go, well, we're redirecting and we now are live. There we go. Okay.
Just start then, Blair.
Everybody start to survive the deep cold.
Yeah. And it's starting to warm up here. So it's
Yeah,
only like, well, it's literally +1. So 33 degrees.
we had, well, a week ago, we had 18 below was the coldest morning with negative
Yeah.
40 wind chills, but no snow. We didn't have much for snow in that, just the cold. And yeah, we hit 50 degrees here today. So
Wow, nice.
Wow. Should be
Nearly
wearing,
summer.
should be wearing shorts instead of a tie.
Shane does not wear shorts. Christian's
Yep.
like, go get something comfortable on. I'm like, so I put on blue jeans.
Yep, exactly.
I'm comfortable in blue jeans, but
Yeah.
Good on you. Ah, Mirabai. Good. Mirabai. And Mirabai is joining us right now. She's trying to get in, loading up. And Mirabai is in.
Okay.
The camera is not on. Hey, Mirabai, glad you could make it. So we might as well get
Ready?
started, I think.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll start off with a couple of announcements. I'm going to share my screen. Welcome to tonight's Blair Dunkley experience, everyone. Just a couple things as we get started. Wanted to draw your attention that Blair has got 2 podcasts available on YouTube and Spotify and Apple. The Mind Model Mastery Secrets podcast and Mind Model Minutes podcast. Highly recommend that you subscribe to those, tune in so that you can get more depth and insights on mind models and how they are affecting change in people's lives. Also, Blair right now is offering a complimentary profiling session. If you want access to that, you can message him on his LinkedIn profile. Just send him a message saying profile and you can connect with him on his calendar. A profiling session is an opportunity for you to connect with Blair and have a conversation and be able to find insights about yourself that you likely are not aware of and direction and things that you might do to become more effective in your life. Highly recommend that you, if you have not had an opportunity to get a profiling session done by Blair, that you take advantage of that. And then also we have some tentative mind model method coach training dates for those of you who want to take mind models to the next level, see how you can utilize these skills to enhance your business, your personal life, things like that. This is something that I highly recommend that you do. Tim and I've been through it. There's been a lot of people on this call who have been through the Mind Model Method Coach training. It's exceptional. Nothing like it that you can find. March 17th through 20th and March 24th through 27th. If you want more information on what that looks like and info on that, you can email Blair directly at blair@rewiringthemind.com and you can have a conversation about what Mind Model Method Coach training might look like for you. And with that, I will hand it off to Tim.
Okay. All right. Well, as was mentioned, welcome everybody to the Tuesday night of Blair Dunkley experience. This is episode 380, and we have been doing a series on micro behaviors and how to identify, repeat, and duplicate those micro behaviors. Tonight, we're going to go into a little bit more of how to navigate the X factor in life. From insight to outcome, building your future with micro behaviors. So that's kind of the topic for tonight. We'll go a little deeper into that here in just a moment. But yeah, welcome everybody to the 380th episode of the Blair Dunkley Experience, where we discuss mind models. Mind models, if you aren't aware, are a collection of extensively tested thought frameworks, skills, and behaviors that enable people to transform their lives intentionally. Your host for this evening is Blair Dunkley, who is the creator of the Mind Models. We are Tim and Becky Graff, your co-hosts and certified Mind Model coaches, along with Patty McClurg. The Blair Dunkley experience is Blair's free gift to you and is an opportunity to learn, experience, and practice these mind models in a safe, real-world environment. We, let's see here, sorry. The BDE if you guys aren't aware, the mind models have helped Becky and I in many, many, many areas of our lives. Not only with an 8-year issue that we had in our marriage, when we went through my model coach, we were actually able to, within just a few hours, resolve that issue with some things that we learned. But we also had an opportunity to use these skills in our business, and it's made us a lot more effective. And we also navigated the PTSD and trauma when we lost our girls in 2020. And these mind models have allowed us to navigate all of that without traditional counseling. So, with that, the mind models are extremely powerful. We look forward to going into more of the mind models tonight with everybody on. And thanks for being here. And thanks to everybody out there on YouTube as well. If you're watching this, if you're live with, or yeah, live with us, I guess, on YouTube, watching it live, or if you're catching the replay, we'd appreciate it if you guys leave some comments, like and subscribe, and that way you get all the episodes that are coming up, and you'll be notified, those kinds of things. So anyway, with that, welcome everyone, and I will turn it over to Blair.
Hey, thank you so much, Tim. Really appreciate that. So we've got some interesting new material tonight and a video, and it's about how do we navigate our life? And, a lot of people, there's two ways to go with this. You can go grand adventure, grand whatever, grand launch, grand whatever, or you can go incremental. And for me in my life, I've tried both. And the thing that is the most reliable, because the grand attempt to do something, the big push, the big thing, you go out there, you throw the mud, you try really hard, and if you don't have all the details lined up, it doesn't quite work. Well, what happens around those details? The details are always a small thing. And those small things, when you add them up, get you to where you need to go. And I've found for me personally that doing micro behaviors consistently is a more effective route for me to personally get to where I want to go. So I have to adjust things, I have to try new things, and I have to test. Anyway, tonight is going to be quite literally about those micro behaviors and shifting things. And it's basically, tonight is how to navigate the X factor in life from insight to outcome, building your future with micro behaviors. And I put together a little video for you guys to give you a quick overview. So here we go. I think I've got sound and everything on. I do. And so I'm just going to share. And take a listen and a look. I don't know how come this is not working.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling apart some powerful ideas from the Blair Dunkley experience, all about how to build the future you actually want. And here's a hint, it has nothing to do with chasing feelings and everything to do with tiny, powerful actions. Okay, so let's kick things off with a scenario that I bet sounds super familiar to you. You're making progress, you're on a roll, things are going great, and then, well, life happens. You've got your plan, right? You're building momentum, you know where you're headed, and then, bam, out of nowhere, some unexpected X factor just completely knocks you off course. Could be at work, a personal goal, doesn't matter. The script you were following is suddenly useless. And this, right here, this is where so many of us get tripped up. All that motivation just seems to evaporate. We feel totally stuck, and our brain starts spinning on that one question that never helps. Why did this go wrong? But hang on a second. What if the real problem isn't your motivation at all? What if we've been aiming for the wrong target this whole time? This is where we need to completely redefine what we're even trying to do. You know, we're often taught that success is this feeling we're supposed to chase, like confidence or happiness. But here's the thing. Trying to chase a feeling, It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It's internal, it's unreliable, it's a frustrating game to play. So the mind model framework just flips this whole idea on its head. Success isn't some fuzzy feeling you're hoping to find inside yourself. Nope. It's externally verifiable evidence. It's proof in the real world that your actions, your behaviors, are actually moving you forward. And Blair Dunkley has this quote that just nails it perfectly. If you don't do it, it doesn't count. I mean, think about that. You can feel productive, you can make all the to-do lists in the world, but if you haven't actually done something you can point to, did it really happen? And that's why the whole build big habits idea so often falls apart. A goal like write for an hour just feels huge, it's intimidating. But a micro behavior, open the document and write one sentence. Come on, anyone can do that. It's all about removing the friction and just getting that tiny bit of momentum. So, now that we've shifted our target away from those flaky internal feelings and onto solid external actions, let's look at the toolkit you need to actually make it happen. Okay, so look at this visual. It lays it all out. Down at the bottom, you've got the F for feelings. See how they're all wavy and chaotic? That's our internal world. But up top, that straight, solid line, that's B for behavior. That's the part you can actually steer. The whole game is to stop getting tossed around by the waves and focus on drawing that straight line. And how do you do that? Well, with this incredibly simple but powerful little tool called the 3 E's. When you look at something you did, you just ask yourself 3 questions. 1, was it effective? Did it actually work? 2, was it external? Could someone else have seen it happen? And 3, are you using evaluation? And this one's key. It's not about judging yourself as good or bad. You're a scientist, just gathering data. All right, so we've got our new definition and our toolkit. Let's put them to the test in 2 of the trickiest situations we all face, dealing with what we call failure and getting trapped by sunk costs. Think about this classic Thomas Edison quote. He wasn't seeing himself as a failure. He was just collecting data. Each one of those 10,000 ways that won't work was just external, verifiable evidence. He was using evaluation, not judgment. He was using the 3 E's before they even had a name. And this toolkit is an absolute lifesaver when it comes to sunk costs. You know what I'm talking about, right? That job you hate, but you've been there for 5 years. That project that's going nowhere, but you've poured so much money into it. We keep doing things that aren't working because of what we've already invested. So instead of staying stuck, this is where you get resourceful. You stop asking that useless question, why? And you get curious. You start asking, okay, what might I do now? Maybe you make a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Or maybe you just decide to do something, any small, effective microbehavior that moves you forward, even just an inch. And really, this brings us to the most important takeaway from this whole thing. Building a better future doesn't require you to blow up your entire life or perform some massive personality transplant. It starts right now. Your future is built one tiny, effective, observable microbehavior at a time. It's not some grand event down the road. It's the small thing you can do, see, and repeat that actually rewires your brain for success. Now, if this way of thinking clicks with you and you want to go way deeper, you have got to check out the Blair Dunkley Experience. It's live on YouTube every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And you can actually join the interactive Zoom call and be part of the live conversation for free. Just go to blairdunkley.com to sign up. And if you're a reader, you've got to grab the books Ultimate Mind Hacking and The Phobia Freedom Formula. You can find them both on Amazon. So that leaves us with just one question, but it's the only one that really matters. Forget about your big goals for a second. Looking at this right here, what is one tiny, observable, effective action you are going to do right now? Welcome to
Well-
the Explainer.
Hey, that's basically it right there. So, now I have to find you guys again. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm back finally. Thank you. Everything got buried. Sorry about that. Okay. So, questions. First of all, can you guys hear me? Great. Can somebody say something? Because I don't know if my sound is working.
We can hear you just fine, Blair.
Okay, great, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, and I can hear you too. Okay, great. So thoughts. What's getting in your way? Does that make sense? Like, because for me, how to navigate those X factors in life, stuff keeps coming up. And what do you do? How do you manage? What's that next small step that you can take to move you and get you back on track? That's really what these micro behaviors are all about. Go for it, Shane.
What comes to mind, in my crazy hectic schedule with cows and kids and grandkids is prioritize. You've said a long time ago, make a master list, but only take three things out of that master to-do list and put on a smaller list and do one of those instead of looking at this whole list and like, oh my goodness, I got all this to do. Pick that small step, do one of those items, cross it off, then pull another one item off. But prioritize what's going on in your life. What's important? What do I need to be doing right now in this situation instead of getting sidetracked by busy work? That's
Exactly.
mine watching your video, which I love, by the way.
Thank you.
So
So
Shane,
go
may I
ahead.
ask you a question? How do you discern between busy work and priority?
Busy work is just something to occupy your time. It's just something that occupies time. So what I don't want to say more important, but what more meaningful thing can I get done right now? Um, you know, obviously we take care of 700 cows, so we're always busy. But as long as cows got feed and water, I prioritize my family, my grandkids, a small select circle of friends that are important. If they need something, the cows can wait. They got food, they got water, they can wait. So just because I got them doesn't mean I have to be out there doing something. If somebody needs me, my kids, my grandkids, my wife, I'm there for them. Family, jobs are important. Don't get me wrong. Jobs are important. We all gotta have money to survive. But at this stage in my life, family seems to be more important than just working.
Mhm.
Blair, I interrupted you. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I would, well, yes and no, but I really like what you said, Shane, because we've gone through this before, and that is when we do have our major list and people make huge lists, but do you chunk it down to something that the next three things that you could do? And does it need to be in that exact ABC order? Not necessarily, but you've got to just pick something and do it that moves the needle. And that's really the key is it moving the needle? And that is the key thing. And that's how we have to evaluate what's going forward. Are we moving the needle enough? And that's what tonight is really all about. So what do you want to build? What areas of your life become more effective when you build on those? Leslie.
Sorry, just had to finish writing there.
No worries.
What I got out of the video and I highlighted was writing a plan. I know to write things down. I know to write the plan out. When you write, there's that connection. There's a stronger mental connection. You have the technical names for it. I don't. but I know it works.
Mhm.
And uh, I'm just realizing I've started working with lists again of things that are to be looked at. Not going to use the word have. I mean, there are tasks that need to be done. So I've been writing them down. I've been more diligent at that. Um, Interesting enough, I have not. Today, I actually wrote out a bit of a trading plan, which I have not done or used for ad infinitum. I'll leave that to your imagination, but as how long that is, but it is more than an hour, that's for sure. But it actually made sense because I wrote it out to my son who is starting to trade again, and this is transitioning our business. But hearing and thinking about it, watching this video, I'm getting a positive feeling about what I had written down and realizing that I need to do that more often.
One of the things that I want to do here, and this is one of the themes that I really wanted to emphasize tonight, and that is that when we take these small steps and we do something, do you notice that your emotions shift after, like you wrote stuff down, then your emotions shift?
Yes,
And they shift. Are they negative or positive?
they're positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they tend to be that way almost like well in excess of 95% of the time.
Yeah. And this is
This,
a
go ahead.
learned thing, and
Yep,
it is recently learned to grab that feeling, that positive feeling.
exactly. And so it is identifiable, repeatable, and most importantly, duplicatable. Okay, so we need to do these things for ourselves in a highly effective manner. But the manner is to do the behavior first before we go hunting for the emotion. Because if we find the emotion first, I virtually guarantee you that that emotion is going to be negative. Okay? So you find the thing that you did, and when the thing that you do does not generate exactly what you're looking for, do two things. First thing is sit yourself down and evaluate what part worked. It didn't give you what you want, but what thing worked? And I guarantee you, there's always at least one thing that worked. And the number one thing that always, always, always works is you attempted to do something. You made a valid attempt to do. Okay, which then gives you data. That's the second thing that worked. You got data. Now, that data will either point you in a direction towards or away from what's working, if it's towards, or what's not working, which always means that you can then look out there and figure out what else works. And as quickly as you can, and I'm going to use a horse/cowboy expression here, get back on the horse when it bucks you off. When you have a negative thing that happened, get back on and ride. That is the most important thing, so you don't mess your brain up with thinking you can't do it.
Blair, could you put up on the screen the diagram with the external and the internal and the feelings and behaviors?
I'm gonna see if, just 2 seconds.
Today, we're
Whoopsie.
That
I'm
link
going-
is in our prep, a couple lines below the picture.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Oh, right there.
One of the things I'd like to, I'd like to,
Becky, can you?
I will share it.
Thank you.
one of the things I'd like to look at is how failure can lead to stories. And looking at this diagram, where do the stories come from? You were talking about starting with a feeling as opposed to starting with a behavior. And when starting with a behavior, you get more of a positive forward momentum. Starting with a feeling, it's more negative. Could you
Correct.
go into where does story come in this diagram?
Okay, so Leslie, where do you think story comes in with you? What's when you're telling yourself the story, what is the story? Okay, I'll just use myself. I'm not doing a great job of asking this question here, so I'm going to just jump in here. When I tell myself a story, you know what? Usually I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated, I've got issues, and I want to justify my position. And I'm telling myself a story from a feeling perspective. And I'm telling my story from a why perspective. And I am going to a conscious line of a story, but my behaviors that I'm pointing to, are they my behaviors or this? Like it goes into SOS, self-other situation. Do I point to my behaviors? Sometimes yes, but frequently not. I point to the situation that appears to be out of my control. And I'm using the word appears to be because that helps me justify my position so that I don't have to blame myself too much. Because I'm already upset with myself for not being able to be effective. And the behavior that I'm doing is internal because I'm beating myself up because I'm not doing what I need to do. And I'm not evaluating, I'm judging. So when I judge, make effective transitions from where I am to where I want to be, I just know I don't like where I am. Now, one of the key things that I've done sometimes in my life, I don't know, I am so much in the weeds. I'm flashing back to when my dad went into a coma and I was overwhelmed with both grief and concern and difficulties, personally, business-wise. My life was falling apart in every which way. And I looked at that and I go, so I wanted to pick one thing that I could do so that I could get my life back together. What's one behavior that I could do to move my life forward? And actually, I found two things, but one of them was I decided I would watch it in the evening. I would watch sad movies. How come? Because sad movies would make me cry. And if I cried, tears are the most effective way of getting rid of stressor chemicals in your body. If you have a good cry, you always feel better afterwards. How come? Because you're expelling those stressor chemicals. That's just biological neuroscience fact. So when you get rid of that stuff, you move forward. Then I set myself a task of doing one thing each day to just get that one thing done. And sometimes it was just shoveling the snow, just getting up, getting outside, and getting the snow shoveled. And that was it. And that was the thing that I needed to start with. Then it became do two things each day, do three things, get myself down to the office and start going through my messages, my phone calls, return the calls back to clients and students that were at the college, and starting to get back into a reasonable routine. Those are things that you got to start small, and then you can build on them. But if you don't start small, it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't happen for a lot longer than you want because you're constantly overwhelmed. Is that what you were looking for, Patty?
I was looking more for in your situation and in your example, the failure that you experienced was not yours.
Correct.
Okay, the failure you experienced was not yours. And the situation you experienced was not one you chose.
Absolutely.
And you navigated that, the process that you used to navigate that sounds very similar to a process that you would use to navigate any failure that you experienced. So, Brent, may I ask you a question? I'm wondering if we could take the picture down so we could see each other. Thank you. What do you hear in Blair's process, mind models that you hear in his process that would help you navigate a failure?
Oh shoot. Before I get to that, I just wanted to point out you were saying is the process and it works for different situations is what you know you were
Yes.
getting towards. And I was like, okay, so that works as that mind models. It's not specific to situations. It is
Yes.
just a process that you work through and it works across many situations.
Yes.
Um, so mind models, if I was not thinking of the mind model of which ones he was using, so
Well, I thought you
give
might
me
be
a second
familiar
to
enough
work
with
through
Blair's story to be able to do
it.
that.
Yeah, I am, but I wasn't like I was a I wasn't thinking 100% with this story, so I was, just doing it. But he did use would say he used evaluation versus judgment there
Yes, he
was a
did.
big one. He, evaluated the situation. Self-other situation was one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um uh well would be I don't know, like control and influence is there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Within that
Yeah.
um curiosity. So
Yes.
curiosity for sure. Um,
Curiosity is a really big one if you're going
yeah,
to
I would say
share
that would be
you're
probably
in
most
some
likely the
kind of a
first one, the
story
very
that's
first one to get you
yes.
thinking and going. So asking questions.
Yes.
Um, uh,
What did you notice
yeah.
that Blair did? With the curiosity, he's looking and like, okay, what do I do with this now? How do I shift myself? What do I do? What did you notice about his behavior in the things that he listed off?
Action, like physical action, he was getting
Lots of
moving.
action.
Yeah, lots of physical
So,
actions getting moving and the crying, he mentioned the crying, so processing that,
mhm,
the grief of it, then getting up and moving instead of
right.
sitting place inside,
Hmm.
staying stuck inside, maybe, another situation, but tend to be, you explain it's wintertime, so it's darker, but get outside and get the fresh air moving physically, so that way the brain
Mhm.
chemicals get moving, your body, moving that,
Mhm.
so that way you get rolling and action, physical action. So the brain,
Right.
you're doing that movements and actions.
Could we potentially call that testing? That he was doing a lot of different behaviors, testing and evaluating what result they got in his life. How did he feel with those? Did they work? Did they not
Yeah.
work? What could he do more of? What did he need to do less of? Those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. He started with working one a
Mhm.
day, and then
Mhm.
that was working for him. Then he bumped it up to two, and then that
Yeah.
was working for him, bumped it up more. So as those were
Mhm.
working, he added more and more, and
Mhm.
get back to work, as he explained, get back to doing work. So get back to that action, but working on himself first, getting that motivates us, find out what worked for him to get moving, and then he could focus more, add more
Mhm.
to his plate.
Right. And that's a totally gut-wrenching situation that he navigated using these processes.
Hmm.
What we're looking at with successful micro behaviors, the testing is definitely one of those, paired with curiosity. Um, did you hear him naming and labeling and describing feelings? And then the IBER piece, he would set an intention, I'm going to do something. And then he would do the behavior, did that work, and then he would reset his intention. So that is the same process that we use for navigating failure in any area. And as I said before, Blair's example, not his failure, not in his control. But sometimes failure isn't your fault, so to speak. It isn't your failure personally, and it isn't um, situation that you necessarily have control over, but you're still left with having to navigate the results of whatever it was that happened. So, Mirabai, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are you pulling from this?
Well, I had a thought about the list, and I'm not sure how it fits into this. So I'm
Okay.
sort of I've got this puzzle piece in my hand, and I'm trying to see where it goes.
Oh, I love it.
So for me, when I have my three things, my non-negotiables that I'm going to get done for the day, and I've made my tiny list so I don't get distracted by my big schedule list, I often have to remind myself where I am and keep coming back to it, keep coming back to it, keep coming back to it, because it's very tempting to just run along and go do something else, or to let
Yeah.
myself get distracted. And, now I'm working on my website when I'm supposed to be sending out an email. I'm like, wait, what just happened? So I kind of lasso myself in and go, okay, wait, but I'm working on this one thing. Okay, yeah, monkeys, monkeys. Oh, but I'm working on this one thing. And I don't know if that is a particular mind model, but it's certainly like the only way I can keep moving ahead and getting things done. Otherwise, my train just ends up in Miami.
Do you see yourself using an evaluative process? The micro corrections? This isn't working. I need to be over here. I need to be doing more of this, less of that. Do you see yourself working through that process with your list?
I don't think that I have that level of awareness yet. For me, many times it's just, okay, wait, what am I supposed to be doing? And then, oh yeah, okay. And then I go back to the thing. So it's like
When you're
like
saying,
a little slap
yeah,
in the face.
when you're saying, what am I supposed to be doing? That is that first question of the threes. Is this thing that I'm being distracted? Is this thing that I'm drawn to effective for me or ineffective?
Mm, okay.
So that's all about effectiveness, effective and ineffective. And you're just saying, nope, that's not effective. coming back to this point, and is this externally verifiable? Yes, because this is my focus point and it's externally verifiable. This is what I'm working on. This other stuff is a distraction. How do I know that it's a distraction? Because it's not my intended focus.
Okay.
And your intended focus, you described wonderfully well as that's something that is definitely externally verifiable. You said you have your three, I'm going to use a different word than you said, but I call them immutable things that you need to do. You have to get these done today. And so you set that as, these are my minimum three. I love it. It's great. And so you get that.
I'm glad I'm accidentally building some skill.
You are. Now, the problem here, not problem per se, you've got a habit pattern that is broadly not exactly named and labeled, but it's described. It's described in story form. Okay? As opposed to named and labeled. So you can pick up the pace of what you're doing when you actually attach mind models and name and label them. That's how come I developed mind models, just to compress the time it takes my brain to figure out. Is like, I just cut to the chase, because you're broadly looking at chasing monkeys or squirrels or shiny objects, and you go, hold it, is this effective? Yes or no? And you go, no. Okay, back to here. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And you've got a tool to bring you back. And you don't have to judge yourself. The more story we put into things, the more likely we are going to judge ourselves. Okay? When we tell ourselves a story, the more likelihood there is for us to self-judge. And we won't even feel it, because we'll describe the story from a situational point of view that, generally speaking, we are out of control with. If we don't describe the story, number one, and we already know that it's ineffective, and we also know what's the thing that we need to do that is effective, then we do that thing that is effective, and it's externally verifiable, because we get a change. We get movement, and that movement, it doesn't matter if that movement is towards or away from what our intended point is, because it's like Edison, who wound up knowing 10,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. But that's data. That's important, because I now know what else not to do. So now I can start doing more of testing, so I can, if I have to, stumble upon what works. Or if I evaluate tightly, notice little things. And by the way, I saw a special on Edison years ago, and one of the things that it was noted in his diaries that he was doing is the first filaments that he was trying to do, they blew up. Then he sucked the air out and created a vacuum in the bulb, and everything burnt longer, less brightly, but longer. And then he started changing, he was changing the filament makeup, and he tested the thing that basically back in the day, they had these lamps that you could burn, and they're basically a cotton wick in the fuel lamp, and it glows, and it burns very like white hot. That cotton is now almost pure carbon, because they burn it, and that ash that glows in there, that carbon, is the thing that he tested. And when he sucked the oxygen out of that, that lasted the longest. Now he had a element, carbon, minus oxygen. And what else can I find that's similar to carbon that I can test? And so again, over and over and over and over again, testing, and figuring out what it was. And the more notes he made about the properties, the more things he could figure out what to look for. And that's what we're finding. We're testing properties in our lives to move towards something. Shane.
Put a couple things in the chat. You know, WD-40. It was the 40th attempt to make it work. That recipe worked. Colonel Sanders, he had thousands of recipes that he tried and decades of failures before he found success. And it's just you know, fail. First attempt at learning. We
Yep.
just simply find, test. This didn't work. What else? In Becky, I know she just left the chat, but in Becky's fine voice, what else might you do? Well, what now? What else might you try?
Exactly.
It just never giving up. Just find those little micro behaviors. What works? This works. Okay, I'm going to build on that. It's perfect.
That's the key element here, is that when I look at people that have ultimately become successful, they almost never get success quickly. It's, you know, what was one of the saying, 10 years to an overnight success. You know, you put in the time. I don't know if you've ever watched Matt Rife. He's a comedian, and he's now hit it big time. So he's making big money and on shows and talk shows, and had a Netflix special and everything like that. It's crazy. He had that whole opportunity for him, and life has just opened up. But it was, he's now in his 30s, early 30s. He started when he was 17 doing stand-up comic, being a stand-up comic. And it wasn't until he was about 28 or 29 before he actually got traction. And he kept at it, doing it over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, one of his YouTube videos caught fire, got over 1 million views, and he blew up on on TikTok or something like that. One of the things, and it just worked. It just took off. That was the magic for him. But it's always putting in the time, making those incremental changes, incremental improvements. And that's the whole piece, that everybody figures out their thing. So
Just wanted to add.
At what point, when you're looking at, 10 years to the overnight success, and, at what point, how do you evaluate the sunk costs and whether or not this is a quote unquote failure, a stepping stone? Where do we pivot with that idea there? The expression throwing, good money after bad, so to speak, and continuing to try and move something that isn't moving. And so, yeah, Mirabai, no test is wasted. Someone said, failed attempt was simply the solution to a different problem. Oh, I like that. But I'm wondering, can we take the concept of sunk costs, and how do we make sunk costs productive? How do we make those into a positive micro behavior?
So Becky, I don't know exactly where you were going, but did you want to take a kick at that?
Well, I was actually going to like thinking through everything that was shared about WD-40, Colonel Sanders, Thomas Edison. It was interesting in the things that kept them going. I think apply here, Patty, to your question about, what do you do when you've invested so much time, energy, money, effort into something and you're not yielding what you thought you would?
Mhm.
And a lot of what I was hearing with what we were chatting about with the examples tonight is it was the way they were looking at it. Thomas Edison did something, he got something, and he looked at it and tried something different. And so when we think of sunk cost, for me, that terminology, sunk cost, is like battleship down, man. It's over. Game over. And so if we think about like what does it actually mean though, in the context of, effective micro behaviors, when we do something, what might happen if we shift how we're looking at it? So Blair, curious, when you were going through all the stuff with your dad, you had options.
I did.
You didn't like them.
Very few. In fact,
But
yeah, none of them.
but you still had options. So what was it that kind of propelled you to do what you did?
Fundamentals. And going back to what do I believe in? What do I need? What are the fundamentals for me in my life? I want to help people. I'm good at that. Is my headspace in a place where I can be at my best to help people right now? The answer is no. When back in the day with my dad, the answer was no, I couldn't. So what could I do to get back? One of the things that I found that I needed to recognize was, do I focus on me or do I focus on others temporarily? By me focusing on others and helping them, I helped myself. And that's important. When I mean, there's so many times in my life where I've had a dark moment or moments, and quite a lot of them. What do I need to focus on? I need to focus on what I both have and the direction of where I want to go. What do I want to do to be able to create a better movement for me? What makes a difference for me?
Hmm.
And I go, do I give up or do I push on? If I give up, do I need that time to recover or am I giving in? And so I have to assess that. People on this call know that I've gone through the last 3 years have been very challenging for me health-wise. So, particularly, cancer, 2 hip replacements, a bunch of other medical stuff, post-cancer stuff, all of that. And I'm now starting to come out the other side. So when I'm feeling more energetic, I'm noticing that I'm more critical of myself. I would like to be in a different spot than where I am, but I have to evaluate myself with a little bit of self-compassion and go, it's not reasonable. So the whole reasonable, realistic, reasonable thing, what's reasonable for me in my situation? Well, I've got to be asking myself, where do I put my time and energy and what's reasonable for that? What's my expectation of me? What can I do? Not what can't I do, but what can I do? and figure out those things. How much time can I commit in different areas? What can I do to change my life? These are all the questions that I am asking, because these are real world things that I have to deal with. So they're real world possibilities. So I have to be able to figure out, where do I allocate my time?
And I think, Blair, is it reasonable to say that those same questions apply to things that we perceive as a sunk cost or a failure or something that didn't work out the way that we had hoped? Because there's always an investment of time, energy, money, and emotion in things.
Absolutely.
And so when we start to think through that lens, like, what do mind models allow you to do? It allows you to be more fluid when things don't go the way you'd hope, the way that you've planned. But I think you said one thing, Blair, that I wanted to draw attention to is like, what do I want? I think that the want in Thomas Edison, the want in Colonel Sanders, the want in WD-40 is they wanted something. And so they were willing to put in the energy and the effort as often as required and pivot as many times as they needed to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to that thing that they wanted.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about sunk costs, if you're investing in a relationship, you're investing in a relationship because there's something that you want with that relationship. If you're investing time, energy, and money in a business, it's because there's something there that you're going for that you want. And so I think that there's a lot of correlation that when we bring it back into like what do or how do we navigate the things that don't go the way that we want in life, sunk costs, etc. It's being clear on what we want and start chunking down like what's the thing that I can do today?
Yeah.
And then evaluating micro pivots. And then test, test, and test.
When we put this thing together, it was all about perception. What are you perceiving you want? And sometimes we get a temporary thing that we perceive that we want, but when we get it, it's not quite what we wanted. So we can then pivot and adjust, or we can learn to accept, or some combination of both. But these are important things. There's no right answer here. It's about being able to create a fluidity, a flow to your life that is moving in a direction that you are satisfied with, happy with, and maybe even pleased with. Like it gives you what you're feeling fulfilled. You're feeling like life is good. Life is moving forward. And that's an important piece of this whole thing. And if it's not, then maybe it's time to pivot. And again, the pivot post comes into play here. And there's lots of things in life that don't go the way that we want, but then there again, let's just stop and take a look. Look at how many things are going in a direction that we're generally happy with. And so we have opportunities. Let's see what we can do with those opportunities. And are we taking advantage of the opportunities in front of us? It's really incredible. We have to take a look at all of these things in this present moment because that's all we have. And are we in, like, we could talk about the size of our now, and how big um, it is or how small is it? And now is like this moment of change is this instant because change happens in an instant. The planning for change can happen over time, years, whatever, decades. We can look at all of these, but we can prepare for things to happen. Sometimes they happen and sometimes they don't. But we can stack things in our favor by taking a look at these mind models as micro behaviors of figuring out where we're going. What do we want? How do we move forward? These are questions that we need answered, you know, and taking action, like do something, because if you don't do it, it doesn't count. If all you're doing is twiddling your fingers or not moving, you're not doing something to take action on things, that's problematic. Yeah, go for it, Shane.
I love your piece about fulfillment. I feel very full in my life where I'm at. Talking about this potential job coming up. Um, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not it's not a job that I actively seek and my world's gonna be crushed if I don't get it.
Right.
I'm fulfilled in what I do. Would this job bring me other fulfillment as well? I believe it would, but it's not something that I'm laying awake at night stressing that I really, really gotta have this. And so it's brought up maybe a little bit of confidence that it's okay either way. And in that, I'm okay either way. Like I'm still going to be the same person, but I mean, some people let those little things in their lives stress them out so much and it doesn't go their way and their world just comes crashing down.
Right.
And so looking at it, you know, I don't know. It's kind of, it's a little, it's a position I don't feel that I've been in before with an opportunity or something that I want. Because I've always, the things that I've really wanted for, I've strived and worked hard to get. I've been putting in my best effort through the interview process and stuff because it is something I do want, but I'm not hinged on that outcome, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, you're in may I describe to you what I think I see? Is that okay?
Please, please.
Okay. So you've got a plan A, which is your ranch. Okay. So you've got income no matter what.
Mhm.
And at the very least, you've got a lot of meals on the table with 700 cows
Yeah.
or cattle out there. So, like, you're not going to starve. But at the end of the day, you now have an opportunity to pivot with a a safety net already in place.
Mhm.
Emotionally, financially, you've got a safety net. That's huge. Some people don't have that, so their stress goes up when they don't. But when you do, like again, the thing that I go back to one of the mind models says is have a plan A, plan B, and a plan C. And your plan A is solid and it's already built.
Mhm.
And so now you can actually leave that there and have other people, your family, your in-laws, whatever, they're running the farm, they're doing their thing, and that whole thing. And you can now go after a plan B, which diversifies your risk and minimizes it.
Mhm.
And so you don't need to worry about it, and you don't, which is actually one of those things that is likely going to make you one of the people that comes across as more self-confident than somebody who needs it.
Mhm.
Because when you don't need things, you usually get them. Like I had my business, I always went to I learned this in the first 5 years of being in business. Always go to the bank and get the loan when you don't need it because they'll give it to you then because you don't need it.
That must be in about everything because that we've always said that in ag too. When cattle prices are high, banks are willing to loan you lots of money. When the farmer or rancher can make money on cheap cows, oh, we can't loan you no money. But
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So that's when you go when you don't need the money. And anyway, that's what I've been able to do. And so it's like always having that plan, that backup plan, and putting that in place. And that's what you're doing with life and building on your confidence and self-confidence, actually, because you don't need it.
Right.
And that's great. That's a powerful position to be in.
Very
So
much
well
so.
done, you.
Well, I think that we'll shift now. I'll hand it over to Tim for wrap up.
All right. So just a little reminder on the wrap and what we do here on the Blair Dunkley Experience. The wrap up is simply how you experienced tonight, not any particular person or anything on here, just how your experience was tonight on a scale of 1 to 10, and then what your biggest takeaway for tonight was. And with that, I'll start. Shane, do you wanna start with the wrap up tonight?
Absolutely. I was just reading what Becky put in the chat because you were talking, so it was Becky. Can't help but wonder if that is an energetic flow. You don't need it, so you don't attempt to control things as much and evaluate more versus judge. I probably, I would agree with that statement, Becky. Uh, as far as tonight, 9.9. Just great to be on with this community that just helps you grow as a person. These little micro behaviors, and I hear Becky's voice all the time. What might you do now? What else? I hear it all the time in daily action. So, um, going over these little tiny powerful actions, you know, Christy has been kind of eavesdropping here, and she said, staying in the present, staying in the present with what you're doing and what's your, not the motivational speaker of what's your why, but how big is your now? How big is that now, right now? And so that's pretty awesome. And so I wrote down what small step can you do now? So again, 9.9 for me. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome. And such a great reminder. Yeah, it's now. That's when the change can happen. So, and Christy, hello. Great to glad you're here. Leslie, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
Yes, thank you. Again, a lot of reinforcing information tonight. Realizing about writing a plan, and when I have written plans, I mean, we always include what our desired results are. And in my note taking here, what I'm possibly realizing, but I need to think about it some more, is what do I want? What do I want is different than desired results. And I need to think about that a little bit more. To what is it that I want? I have some different goals, or I do have some different desired results that I want to achieve, but they are not set to a plan. So mine now, right now, is aligning more about writing my plan and what do I want. So I got to give tonight a 10 again, as I did last week. It was these two sessions have followed each other, and it's been very powerful. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for everyone's comments along the way here. It's just remarkable.
Thank you, Leslie. And I love hearing your plan and as you talk through your process of doing this, and such a great reminder to be in alignment with what it is that we want. And I just absolutely love that. And it's great to have you here, Leslie. So,
Great, thank you.
Mirabai, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I'm giving tonight a 10. I just love these meetings and I get so much out of them. I really appreciated learning about how big is my now. That's a new concept for me. And so I'm going to have to give that some thought, do some research on that, and talk to Becky at the dog park, get more context for that because I know that I can use that in my personal life and also in my professional life. So that feels to me like the big idea that I can then kind of work around the edges and see which parts of it I can tease out and utilize right now when I'm still in the beginning stages of learning the mind models. That's all for me. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, it's the size of now is a great one. That's one that, yeah, it just careful, you'll have a little Becky in your ear. Thank you, Mirabai. I just wanted to mention Shannon is recovering tonight, but she put in the comments it was an 8 for her tonight. Shane, I appreciated your question early on. What more meaningful thing could I do right now? And thanks for sharing your energy while I study and listen at the same time. So awesome. Thank you, Shannon, for putting that in the comments, and hope you're doing well. Brent, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
Yes. Takeaway for tonight. And man, besides the now, staying in the present, and that's where, you take the actions and you make those changes, but it's the 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 behaviors and leading with behaviors, and then what's that emotion that comes with that, and using that as the evaluation point to, hey, is this working? Is this not working? What's, and then adjusting from there. So, the opposite leading can lead you into that story situation where you start judging and coming up with reasons and excuses and blaming other things that can keep you stuck. So then evaluating that if that's where you're at, but being aware if that's where you're at, and then switching to what you're doing, but taking just if you don't do it, it doesn't count, right? So just something, if you're not sure where to go, do something, take an action, and then go from there. So, take that step and do something. It may not be, if you're not sure, just do something, and then you can go from there. So it may not, just to get you rolling and get you thinking, and that curiosity going. So the movement of the body seems to help the movement of the mind at the same time. So, um, yeah, I give tonight a let's say a 9.25 for me tonight. So.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Brent. And yeah, that's one I have to remind myself of often, is because every now and then we start with the emotion or we start with the story, and it's before, it just builds, and sometimes you forget to just do something, just to take that, even some small action. And it's amazing how quickly just taking that little behavior will shift everything. Something I have to work on myself sometimes. Remind myself. So such a great reminder. Um, with that, Patty, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
Sure. The thing very similar to Brent, noticing the emotional shift to the positive when you do the behavior first, to the negative when you're doing the feeling first. I thought that was something that I hadn't given a lot of thought to, and I want to notice that more going forward. But what Blair said about evaluating yourself with compassion and what is reasonable, I really appreciated that as well. So for me, it's an 8.75 tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Patty. And thank you for your work with putting this together. Such an awesome topic tonight. And it's super helpful. So thank you. And Becky, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
9.3 for me tonight. Micro behaviors are something that once learning the mind models, I seek out, and it's very powerful when you're able to start to be aware and notice like the littlest thing, and being able to do something. I did this when Tim was talking. This is a behavior, folks, and this one that I actually do to myself when I find myself having an internal monologue about what's going on and all the stories, and I don't want to do the thing right now. So size of now, and then being able to physically do something, give myself a little bit of a mental jar by doing that. And then being able to evaluate, okay, I may not want to do that right now. And that's okay that I don't want to do it right now. There's no rules or laws that say that you have to want to do everything. But the question is, do I not want to do it bad enough for the impact that it has on what I actually want? So we're talking about size of now and the scope of it. Sometimes I use that evaluation scale for myself to find that reasonable, Patty, that you're talking about. It's reasonable to not want to do something right now if it's late and I'm tired and all the things, and that's okay. And giving yourself that grace or that opportunity can decrease the emotional judgment load or whatever negative Nelly thing that's going on. Like, I should want to. Well, should you though? Being able to evaluate fairly to then make a decision forward. Another thing that I found very effective for me is giving myself time frame. So actually putting a where and a when on the thing. So if I'm not wanting to do something, that's okay. I don't have to do it right now. I'm going to give myself 10, 15, 30 minutes a day, whatever it is, to not do the thing. But then I'm going to re-engage. So again, it gives structure to it that I can then evaluate. Was that time and space effective? That 5 minutes, 10 minutes that I didn't do the thing effective for me to breathe? Yes or no? So it just helps bring you more into the evaluation when you can put timestamps on it. And when we're talking about creating effective replacement behaviors or the priority lists, if we're just making tons and tons of lists but with no time frame, sometimes that can feel big and boggy in our brains. And being able to put a reasonable time frame on it to test against can also be helpful. So that's me tonight.
Mhm.
Cool. And yes, this is something that happens in our house quite a bit. She does this to me too. And actually, this is back to what I was sharing with Brent's thing. That a lot of times is what kind of snaps me out of that story or that emotional place where I find myself. And I'm like, oh yeah.
I don't even have to say anything.
She just go like this. It's great. It's such a and honestly, to Becky's point, I find myself doing this to myself as well. I've created this habit of timing myself out, and that for me tonight, it was a 9-5, and my biggest takeaway from tonight was just the test. It was said multiple times here tonight from Blair, from Becky, from multiple people on here, but test, 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 and just testing again. Becky's whole thing of starts with T and ends with T, which she's put in the chat, and it's not toast, as Colin so lovingly loves to tease her with. But yeah, just testing. I mean, I think about, Colonel Sanders, WD-40, some of the things that we've talked about tonight, and they just kept testing and kept testing and kept testing. It was about, just that desire for them to reach and to see that final desired result. And I'm sure it would have been WD-80 if it needed to be, or who knows how many times with the light bulb. But the important thing is just to keep testing and not giving up, not taking that judgment out of things and just moving forward. And so it's such an inspiration and a great reminder for me just to keep testing, keep plugging along until I finally reach the end, wherever or whatever that desired result is. When I finally get there, I'm sure I'll be aware of it. And that's the interesting thing too, is we never know when. So that's it for me. Blair, would you like to participate in the wrap?
Yes. 9-2. One of the things that I have noticed since I have Apple products and they launched a new iOS, and my watch updated. And one of the updates is in the area of sleep. and I am recording not just my sleep, whatever, but I've got a sleep number now that I didn't have before or didn't find, and now it's coming up. And I'm noticing that when I have a sleep number that is a low sleep number, well, 50 or whatever, I am noting that I am needing to compensate, take a nap during the day because I'm pooping out. Last night was one of those times I didn't have a great sleep, not a horrible sleep, but not a great sleep. And I needed time out late in the afternoon so I could get up and get myself ready for this, to be on here and be reasonably alert and everything else. So again, that goes down to giving myself grace. And did I get done everything I wanted to? No, but I'm still plugging away at it, and I'll pick that up again tomorrow and do my best. And I noticed one thing, one key factor for me is that as I am getting healthier with my hips, as my strength is regaining, as I am being able to stand up, sit down, and get back up again more easily with hips issues that I've had and just rebuild strength, I'm finding my expectations grow faster than my strength is recovering. And so that is problematic. So finding a bit of grace, giving myself some grace for myself is a work in progress at this point. And so again, giving myself, downtime to recover and get myself a late afternoon downtime so that I'm not exhausted coming onto the call. And that's important for me. Anyway, it's just remembering to be kind to myself is important. And sometimes we're not, and sometimes I'm not. But it's okay. Um, there's always tomorrow and a better chance, a chance to do better. So anyway, that's it for me.
Thank you, Blair. And with that, we are getting close, and I will turn it over to Becky to take us out.
All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with us for the last 90 minutes. Again, tonight was episode 380, How to Navigate the X Factors in Life from Insight to Outcome, Building Your Future with Microbehaviors. Per usual, we prepare a lot, and we like to follow the conversation where it goes live with those who are on so that they can have an experience we can explore in real time. So, if you want the extras, the things that we prepared that we didn't get to, please make sure that you take an opportunity to invest in the BDE Insider Notes. It's an opportunity for you to get the deeper dive that we do. Episode 318 to current, the investment is $25 a month or $300 a year. You can go to blairdunkley.com/BDE Insider Notes. Again, highly recommend that you invest in that. You also have access to the video that was shared at the beginning of this episode. If you're joining us later on YouTube, I'd highly recommend that you go back and watch the recording. Gave some foundational and really impactful information on some of the other things, kind of a teaser on some other pieces that you may find inside the insider notes as we went deeper there. Also, Blair has 2 current books on Amazon, Ultimate Mind Hacking and Phobia Freedom Formula. So again, if you want to see the depth and breadth of what mind models can do in different applications in a different format, definitely recommend that you go to Amazon. You can search Blair by name, Blair Dunkley, or by title, Ultimate Mind Hacking and Phobia Freedom Formula. And stay tuned because Blair is working on another book that will be coming out where, again, different lens, different angle, more depth on what mind models can do and the effectiveness that they can bring to your life. Last but not least, Mind Model Method Coach Training tentative dates March 17th through 20th and the 24th through 27th. An opportunity to go deep with the mind models, be able to learn how to apply them to yourself, be able to utilize them in your interactions and work, things like that. So again, if you want to see just how impactful these can be in your life in a concentrated dose, make sure that you join us for the Mind Model Method Coach Training again, March 17th through 20th, the 24th through 27th. If you'd like to join us live here with us, be able to have conversations, come off mute, ask questions, please join us. You can go to blairdunkley.com or rewiringthemind.com, /weekly webinar. There's a link there. You can join us. Come on, ask your questions and participate. We'd love to have you. Every single Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 Eastern, we're here and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everyone, wherever you're tuning in from. Have a wonderful evening or day, and we'll